In the village of Swaffham, a man once had a dream, and in the dream, a figure appeared in a red cloak and spoke a simple message. Get yourself to London Bridge, fast as you can. Something good will happen. The man, whose name was John, woke his wife Kath up and told her the dream. Kath was used to his dreams and rather weary of them. What good is a dream? A vision for your life would be better, but dreams aren't worth a thing. Yes, I suppose a vision is better than a dream, said John sadly, and he went back to sleep. Then he had the exact same dream again. The next day he badgered everyone with it. The blacksmith, the weaver, the midwife, the baker, till all were sick of it. He worked his way across the village telling everyone, till by dusk he arrived at the church. Terrible state it was. Slates missing, walls crumbling, tower filled with crows and awfully wobbly. No bell. Mother Kirk was sick. Weaving through gravestones came the priest, Master Fuller. In the half-light, he listened to the peddler's dream with watery blue eyes almost closed. He groaned in irritation. We all bloody dream. They signify nothing. Figure a vision to rebuild the church. Now that would be something. Tired Master Fuller gestured to the collapsed roof in the north aisle, the mossy walls. The priest then walked off into the gloom, muttering loudly. Dreams, as if dreaming ever did anything. That night, over ale and by the fire with Kath, John started up on his dream again. Kath rose and with a fierce old glint in her eye said, I'll never hear the end of this. Go on, go. Go with God, but go. Next day, the peddler said goodbye to Kath and his children and set out with his hound, a jug of beer, and a bag of bread and cheese. He had 5 gold coins tucked away and a big walloping stick for anyone who came at him. For much of the first day, he was surrounded by what he already knew. Sheep in distant fields, small holdings, woods, and the occasional fox. Walking like this was rather fun. He sipped his beer and sung out a song now and then. But over time, the landscape changed, grew less familiar. Soon it was all heathland, with no happy curl of smoke from a cottage, no cheery wave from a farmer. This was land beyond his knowledge, and he grew quieter, more cautious. In time, the beloved little tracks he'd known all his life ended, and he found himself on a bigger path that men called the Gold Road. Soon it was raining, soon it was dark, and he found himself kipping in a ditch, miserable and afraid. In the morning he was aching, sodden and filled with hunger. It won't surprise you to know the next 4 days were more of the same. But despite the discomfort, these days certainly weren't boring. His hound hobbled along loyally beside him as they traveled, through ghoulish woods and endless miles of nothing much. They fell in with a pilgrim on his way to Jerusalem, met boozy youths on their way to the fair, even a beautiful young woman who attempted to sell him a ticket to heaven. At night, under whatever oak tree, inn, or monastery he was sheltering in, he wondered at all at whom he'd met. His mind was wider and deeper than even a few days before. So much life to take in. Finally, he came to London. He smelt it before he saw it. Then he heard it. The smell was of unwashed bodies and sewage. The sound was of shouts, music, punch-ups, and laughter. Houses were built above houses, and the whole place swayed and shimmered in front of him. Folks of all shapes, sizes, colors, and dispositions, and most trying to flog him something. It was both terrifying and wonderful all at the same time. The peddler finally got to London Bridge, over the gray and swishing Thames. Suddenly, he had no idea what to do. The dream wasn't terribly precise at this moment. Now a vision. That would have told him what to do. That would have been a map. He started to feel outrageously stupid. No one paid him a blind bit of notice. He'd held a gaze just in case someone would nod and was in on the dream. But the days passed and nothing happened. John would sit in the dust and watch the boats go by. He spent his coin on a night's lodgings and making a black bear dance, and soon it was all gone. He'd seen a group of cloaked pilgrims pass on their way to the holy land of Walsingham, and he had a great surge of homesickness. Walsingham being a place he knew very well. His sense of foolishness grew daily, and the dream seemed to get fainter. Could he even completely trust he hadn't made it up? One day a shopkeeper walked over to him. I've seen you sitting here for days. What on earth are you up to? You don't beg or steal. What are you doing? Well, a dream told me I should come. That something good would happen. Dreams, you idiot. You shouldn't trust in dreams. I myself had a dream just last night. I dreamt of a village called Swaffham, and in it a garden that belonged to a peddler, and in that garden a hawthorn tree, and in the dream buried by the tree was a pot filled with gold. That wouldn't make sense to anyone, would it? The peddler's head began to swim. He thanked the baffled shopkeeper and began to run in the direction of Swaffham, his happy hound at his ankles. John headed in the opposite direction of the gold road, and his eyes filled with tears when he finally saw the little tracks and fields of sheep and tiny copses he'd loved his whole life. He burst into the cottage wild-eyed and mud-splattered to his beloved Kath, and told her the whole story. She thrust his old spade in his hand, and they ran out to the hawthorn tree, and he started to dig. At first there was nothing. How odd to leave with one dream and return with another's, muttered Kath. Soon there was the satisfying clunk of metal on metal, and he indeed dragged up a pot filled with gold from the dark soil. Beside themselves, they carried the pot inside and sat there breathlessly, counting the money. In the half-light, they noticed there was something written in Latin around the lid. They would need someone who could decipher it. That night, they slept with the gold stacked up in the bedroom, glowing at the foot of their bed. Every now and then, one of them would wake up and dreamily marvel at the fortune. The next day they called over Master Fuller the priest. He warily surveyed the peddler and noticed he hadn't seen him in church that Sunday. "Well, I was, out and about, Father," said John, playing for time. "I was wondering if, with your book smarts, you could tell us what is written on this pot." The priest put out his spectacles, peered at the inscription, and read the Latin. "Under me is someone richer." Kath and John stared at each other, with Kath keeping the priest occupied with tea and cake. The peddler and his kids nipped out to the hawthorn tree and started to dig. This time it was his kids, Maggie and Hugh, who got to share the labor. They toiled and toiled, great clods of mud flying over them till there was the satisfying clunk of metal on metal. There was another pot, at least twice as large as the last one, John spoke. "This is a dream, but a dream I can stand up and walk around in. A dream that has suddenly changed the shape of our lives forever." And suddenly he knew what he had to do with the money from the second pot. He walked back into the house where the priest and Kath were chatting. He noticed how threadbare the priest's robes were and how thin he'd got. "Father, how much gold would we need to fix old Swaffham Church?" The father smiled sadly. "More than any of us have or can lay our hands on. I love the old place, but it seems its time is up. The bell no longer rings, no pilgrims attend. Would you come into the garden, please? I have something to show you." And with that, the priest, the peddler, Kath, Maggie, and Hugh all walked out to the hawthorn tree. Underneath it was the largest pot of gold anyone had ever seen. The priest's mouth opened and closed. He rubbed his glasses, then his eyes, then his glasses again. By now neighbors were running over. Even the animals were excited. "How on earth?" gasped Master Fuller. With that, John the peddler of Swaffham told him the story that I have told you. "As much as needed to repair the church, I give it all to you." The priest yelped. "We could create a new northern aisle. We could have a new steeple, maybe a bell to call across the fields." As he was saying this, something started to happen to Master Fuller. Something started to happen that no one had ever seen. He started to smile. It was a lovely smile, a huge smile that immediately made him look 20 years younger. "It's a miracle," John ventured in reply. "Well, what it is a dream. A dream that became a reality by following its strange instructions, even when it went vague. A dream that has now become big enough for us to live in." And Master Fuller nodded. "Yes, you're right. Humans make visions, but a dream can come straight from God. Call everyone to the church right now. We must pray and sing and give thanks." They all came. The blacksmith, the butcher, the weaver, the seamstress, the farmer, the baker, the cowgirl, the midwife, all of them, excited and rejoicing over the news. And once they had prayed and sung, right there in the graveyard, Master Fuller started to dance. The priest hopped from one foot to another like an ecstatic crow, opened his arms, and praised his God for sending him such a dream. From that day on, The peddler of Swaffham was known as John of Dreams, and for the rest of his long life, on the way to church every Sunday, many would share the way God spoke to them in dreams even, or especially Master Fuller.